Welcome to Restaurant Executive Mastery, the podcast where you get to hear how top restaurant executives bring transformational changes to their business. He is John Shaw, speaker, executive life coach, entrepreneur, interfaith minister, and former restaurant leader for over 25 years. He's also a chocolate cake lover. I am Rev Ciancio, hospitality marketing consultant, influencer, former bar owner, and chicken nugget fanatic.
This show is created to help restaurant executives master their mindset and find inspirational ways to change their business from the top to the bottom. We're showcasing top thinkers in our business, but also give tactical solutions and examples that can help you move your needle.
Please welcome Zino Carr to the Restaurant Executive Mastery Podcast. Zino is the growth and operations strategist at Garden Catering. Although if you look at your website, his title is listed as Nugget Ninja. They are neither a garden nor caterers. They are a 9-location fast casual restaurant who specializes in high-quality chicken nuggets. The brand has been around since the first version of one of their stores opened in 1970 in Greenwich, Connecticut. Now, in the middle of COVID, they have closed stores. They've reopened stores. They've served 10,000 meals to first responders. They've launched a ghost kitchen called the Clam Shack, and they've even rebuilt their entire tech stack. While Zino is technically in charge of growing the brand, you'll find him in the kitchen tinkering with Nashville hot spices, jumping behind the counter when employees need help, and responding to literally every single private message from every single customer in every single store where they have a system set up just to do that. Wow. Zino is a Connecticut native who grew up eating at Garden Catering. He's a father, a leader, a colleague, a mushroom and lobster hater, and proposed to his wife at the absolute coolest bar in New York City, the Campbell Apartment.
Awesome.
Remember that.
Zino, welcome to the show. We're thrilled to have you.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Zino, COVID hits, right? And most quick service and fast casual brands, they have an explosion in business, right? It was built for this. Yeah. You guys shut down a bunch of stores. Why the decision originally to go the opposite route?
Well, we shut down one of our locations in particular because somebody actually contracted COVID, and we didn't know at the time what the guidance was. The news was changing from day to day, what we were supposed to do, what the protocol should be. So an abundance of caution was the annoying buzzword that you hear too often, but we decided let's just shut this down and make sure we do a deep clean on the store. We get everybody tested. And at that time, it was still pretty difficult to get access to tests, but we did manage to get tests. Fortunately, there was a clinic in the neighboring town in Portchester where they could give same-day results. So even in March, so we were able to get tests done, get the deep cleaning done, set aside those employees, on paid sick time, get our bearings under us, and get that store open within 3 weeks. A number of the other stores, we just immediately went into not lockdown mode, but we decided to change our protocols, close the doors, do phone in only, do online only, and really work to protect our employees first. We have a lot of parents who work for us. We're parents ourselves. I know, Frank and Tina, our owners, both parents. Tina's got 2 kids. Frank has 5. So, we all have to think about our safety and our families first. And then as an extension of that, we start to think about the families of our customers and our customers themselves. They're like family to us. They come in and we see the same faces every day. So we had to see the best way to move forward with the limited guidance that we had from the CDC to say what is the correct way to take care of your people and to take care of the public in general, how to be responsible, but still keep the doors open and keep the food coming out, keep the nuggets coming out of the fryer.
Awesome. And I think to give everybody a preview of what you'll hear on the rest of this show is an attention to the detail of the customer's needs. So it doesn't surprise me. Now, Zino, what has happened since with you guys in COVID?
Well, since then, once we kind of got into our flow, we've really modified our approach based on the individual store. So we're in 8 kind of unique markets. And so we have 8 different bases of customers who have different expectations. So some of our stores, the doors are open. You can walk in, walk up to the register. We've obviously taken the precautions of using plexiglass, keeping that social distancing. We have the floors marked off in all the stores. So we have the same concept in each of the stores where we're maintaining the social distancing, the half-hour cleanings that are happening on the doors and all the touch surfaces, the disinfecting that we're doing. But as far as letting customers in, we turned to our team members to make that call on whether or not they were comfortable, first of all, and to use their boots on the ground intel as to how our customers were going to react. And one of our stores, for example, is in a more urban setting. Customers were flooding into the door. We had a table set up just a few feet in the door, and no one was respecting our no more than 2 customers. No one was respecting that. And the counter where the manager would be or the cashier would be is 15 feet away. So we had to make a decision to keep the customers safe and for their own good. We decided we're not going to open these doors. We're going to take orders over the phone only. And we had customers trying to come in with no masks, harassing our cashiers for requiring masks. And so we let the cashiers kind of and the GM in that store drive the decision we made to keep the doors closed. Other stores, the team members were more comfortable allowing the customers in, and the customers have been more respectful to the policies we have in place. So fortunately, in those locations, we've been able to open the door, allow the customers in, and we haven't had a lot of static. It's actually people are I guess conditioned to this experience, be it through supermarkets, other restaurants, and banks, and everywhere else they're going in their daily lives. They're becoming accustomed to the new normal, and it's made it a little bit easier on us.
And so how has business been since like this resetting? And it sounds like you can probably iterate it every day or every week, but how's business been?
Business has been strong. Business has been good. Like you said, we are a QSR, so we have several stores with a few seats. I mean, I think the most we have is 14 seats in any one location. So we're very much programmed and designed for takeout, carry out, and curbside and for delivery. So we were well positioned. We're also in suburban markets. So we have I'd say the lowest performing store of ours is in an urban environment where we're surrounded by municipal buildings, city courthouse, the county courthouse, and a lot of office space surrounding us, and colleges and universities. So those places have essentially been ghost towns. So the majority of our business has been off-premise delivery. And so that's the only one where we've really seen a decrease year over year in sales. All the other stores are flat to up. In some cases, we're up as high as 25 to 30% year over year.
Wow.
We're constantly trying to evolve and find new ways to innovate and be creative, take opportunities that we may have put on the back burner in the past, step on the gas now and try new things, because there's no time like the present when the customers aren't coming in and crowding your store and hammering your cashiers. We can try some new policies. We can try some new checklist technology where our cashiers are on the phone. They don't have customers right in their face. They can try new things with us, and we can evolve that way.
So I really just want to underscore the importance for our listeners of what you just said, because this is a tremendous opportunity to innovate. And we talk a little bit about the physics of this whole situation. So there's a physics principle that the universe or all the systems within it evolve through chaos. And when adversity is entered,
entropy
a system. I'm sorry, entropy, exactly.
I'm with you, man.
So when adversity, is presented, you can either resist and therefore you will fail, right? Or you can integrate and adapt. And by means of the integration and the adaptation, you can actually have an acceleration, because the energy of the challenge, the adversity, the chaos has an amplified power to create a quantum leap in your results. So you're doing exactly what, you're playing according to the scientific rules here. So for all of our listeners, if you remember one thing about this podcast, I'm sure there'll be lots of memorable stuff, that now is the time to lean in, to innovate, to adapt, to pivot, and to be creative. And you can have what you're having, Zino, which is 25, 30, 35% growth in your stores in the middle of a pandemic. So well done. Amazing.
Thanks. Yeah, we, Frank and Tina, our owners, have been really critical in orchestrating this whole thing from launching the Clam Shack. They had a bunch of arrows in the quiver that were pretty ready for us to go, with recipes ready to fire away. And our kind of company philosophy of making the communities in which we operate better places to live, it really created a perfect opportunity for us to prove that. I know Rev mentioned that we had raised over, we'd served over 10,000 meals. We passed that a couple months ago. So that was our original target, was to serve over 10,000 meals. We have a program that we run year round all the time. It's called Nuggets for Nonprofits. And that's something where we encourage any nonprofits to partner with us. And we do fundraisers and we host fundraisers. We do gift card sales, any number of things to help them raise money. What we had done for COVID specific was we pivoted to Nugs, Not Hugs, which we thought was a catchy name. I think one of the big guys tried to steal our hashtag, but we were ahead of them on that. So tough luck, Wendy's and whoever. And that was the program where we had pledged to serve 10,000 meals throughout the course of this pandemic. Well, we blew through that number. I pulled up some numbers. I asked Tina, she's been tracking all this and orchestrating this. She's been coordinating this. Tina not only is the owner and does all the scheduling and managing of Greenwich headquarters and does all of the catering and everything else that we do. She also manages all these fundraisers and charitable activities that we do. So we committed to 10,000 meals over 8 weeks. We started off in hospitals and first responders, and they were getting overwhelmed. So that was our target for feeding them, and we pivoted beyond that to realizing that everyone was doing that. And then as the cases started to drop off, there were a lot more people in need. There were a lot of families who couldn't put food on the table. So we reached out to some neighboring organizations and started to look at people who were truly disadvantaged as a result of this, people who could not feed themselves, who could not feed their families. They were the ones who really needed it, not necessarily the doctors who were pulling overtime, which we completely appreciate and we loved feeding them. But a lot of restaurants were already there, and everyone was kind of doing the same thing. So right now, let's see, we hit 20,000 meals in August.
Wow. Incredible.
We're going to continue to donate with the goal of 40,000 meals by the year end. So that's out of 8 locations. So in Port Chester, we connected with a food pantry and the United Way of Greenwich. And let's see, we donate weekly 12 trays of food, and then we discount another 50 trays. So basically we serve about 1,500 people a week.
Wow.
It's incredible.
Out of this program. So we're really proud of that. And we feel that that's an energizing and unifying activity that all of our employees and all of our team members at all the stores can get behind and feel proud of. That, there are silver linings. There is good news to come out of something like a pandemic. And if you have the right attitude and the right approach, you can make a difference in your community. And ultimately it pays itself back in spades.
And how do you, I was just going to say, there are some principles around how powerful activating the law of receiving through giving is, and that there's one quantum field, and the more you give, you will receive in kind. There's a law of compensation. So I'm curious if you speak to that, knowing that you're doing good not to receive benefit, but you do this probably because you understand these principles, that by leaning into the give, it will come back to you. So just explore that with us for a moment.
We've had a number of customers come in and tell us that they would never have visited us had it not been for learning about us through one of these programs, through one of these fundraisers, through one of these outreach or community support activities that we participate in year round, every year. And they find out about us and they come to know us. We come to know them as customers, and they start to recognize that it's not a marketing ploy. It's something that we truly believe in. And I think that's where the magic happens, is if you really believe in helping and finding the right causes and truly giving without expecting anything back. That's where, if it's coming out of a place of need, where you recognize a need in the community, yes, you have enough to give, that's enough to have that pendulum swing back in your direction. And we've seen that time and time again. We've had great luck. Even we created a method for our digital gift cards through a Gift Rocker. I don't know if do you know Alex over at Gift Rocker? Great digital gift card platform, and we can create fundraisers that are specific with a special code, and basically give 50% of the proceeds for these gift cards to any of these nonprofits that want to run a fundraiser. And it really helps accelerate what they're trying to accomplish. And it's very little off of our, ultimately we'll get customers coming in and using those cards. Great. It may be a wash. We may not make any money off that. But what we've done is shown to the community that we care and that we want to help these organizations that are trying to make their communities better in any way that we can. We partner with other restaurants. This isn't it's certainly never a competition. This is the kind of thing that communities should gather around and should unify communities, and everyone should work towards making them better, making them safer, lifting people up. And so we live by that.
I love it. And Rev and I are students of, all kinds of transformational principles. And one of our favorite books is The Science of Getting Rich. And Wallace Wattles, written in 1910. And he talks about, staying out of the competition mindset and being in the creative mindset, that there is no competition. Ultimately, all boats will rise with the tide. If you stay in the give, stay in the creation, then you don't need to worry about competition, and you'll be successful. So I love how you're demonstrating these principles at work, and by means of using these principles, you're having amazing success. So I love the mission-driven quality of it.
Thanks. Well, it's worked since 1978, so no need to change course at this late stage.
So what are you thinking about for the future of your business after the pandemic?
Well, we're buttoning down a few more of our systems. A few things that we've done in an analog fashion for years that work, but only work part of the way. I'm specifically thinking of things like checklists and accountability. Something as you scale, obviously accountability becomes that much harder to track and to enforce. From the management, from Frank and Tina, myself, Matt, Monica, our team in the headquarters in Old Greenwich, and all the way down through the stores to the team members on the front lines. We need to hold one another accountable at the management level. We've turned to tools like Asana and Slack for that, which we found, for the project management and keeping each other on task. It's easy to wear a lot of hats and do a little bit on a lot of different projects and never get any of them done. So project management has been, and using the digital tools that are available to execute and complete those things has been a game changer. And I think we're going to see a lot of these open-ended projects come to a close and get us ready to launch to bigger and better things in the near future. And for the store level, we're going to be trialing 2 different task management apps or checklist apps. It'll be in everyone's pocket that will not allow people to clock out without completing their daily checklist. Wow. The accountability is built in, so they won't be able to clock out. They'll have to take pictures of different areas in the store. It incorporates food safety and temperature checks and temperature probes, a lot of things that the health inspectors love to see that we need to see, that integrate some facilities management components. So we'll know whether or not any of our refrigeration is likely to crap out at 3 a.m. We'll know about it. We'll get alerted. So some of these are the icing on the cake of what we built over the last several years from our tech stack.
Wow.
I think with all those things in place, we're ready to go. So we're hoping to find new locations, new opportunities, and take this from 8 units to 20 to 50 to you'll never want to eat another chicken nugget with Garden Catering. Ever. Anyway, though, if you ate our chicken nuggets, you wouldn't want to have anyone else's chicken nuggets. It's just a fact.
I have eaten your chicken nuggets. So, all right, Zino, so we would normally not do this on this show, but the Garden Catering story is a really interesting one. And we just talked a little bit, you dipped into how progressive you guys are being here with tech and being forward thinking, and we could do a whole show on that. But you have this really interesting brand that's been around a long time. Okay. I think the story of Garden Catering is best told by somebody who's close to the brand. So can you kind of quickly explain to our listeners what is Garden Catering and why people are so passionate about what you do?
Absolutely. So Garden Catering's been around since 1978. Originally, Lou Iandoli was the founder. He passed away, unfortunately, in 1989. Frank Carpentier Sr. Was driving down the street in Old Greenwich, where you were, Rev, saw the business. He knew of it, how popular it was in the community, and he saw that it had closed. so he reached out, and turns out that he found out that Lou had passed on, and he reached out to his widow and ended up buying the business from the widow's estate. And when he got in there with whatever money he had put in to buy this place, he realized that it needed a hell of a lot of money. So he had to borrow money from relatives and friends and everyone else to rebuild that business essentially from scratch. He proceeded to open a second store and then a third and a fourth. Frank Jr., his son, got involved. And I played rugby with Frank Jr. in high school. So he's a friend from high school. I graduated high school with his sister, Tina, they're Irish twins. They're, a year apart. So I've known them both my whole life. And when I was a kid, I used to ride my bike about 5 miles from my house on the western end of town, all the way down into Old Greenwich just to get French fries and chicken nuggets. And everyone in town can really say the same thing. And it continues today. I mean, you see kids showing up in hordes and packs. If school closes early, it gets out a half day, get ready, like put your helmet on, because they pile into the store, not in COVID, but they pile outside the store now. And we've been kind of part of the community ever since.
Yeah. You've described to me, at least with the Old Greenwich location, that people would literally come by, get a bag of nugs and fries and go to the beach. And that was their picnic, right?
Oh yeah. It still is. I mean, every Friday night, my wife will, after work, she'll grab the kids and text me, "You want to meet us at the beach?" Absolutely. And I don't even really have to ask what people want to eat. I just go downstairs, I throw a bunch of nuggets in the fryer, I throw some fries, I make a few sandwiches, throw them in a bag and head down to the beach. And everyone jumps for joy generally when they see me show up and I start dropping the bombs on them.
Well, I'll text you my address.
Yeah.
How do you keep what is nostalgic and awesome about the history of a brand intact while you continue to modernize and grow?
I think a lot of it has to do with Hatzi himself. Hatzi Bertino was a World War II veteran, and he was kind of a local legend. Amazing chili recipe. He worked with Garden Catering. He had places in town in Greenwich, iconic places, diners that he owned way back in the day. Then he retired. He came back to work with Garden Catering, and he would come in at about 2 a.m. And this is into his 90s. He would come in at 2 a.m., make the chili, flip the lights on, turn the grill on, and open the doors. So we didn't open until, say, 6:30, 7 a.m. He'd open the doors at 4 a.m. for any guys who are on the road and going into work early, come on in, make a bacon, egg, and cheese. And his whole MO was he would know you, know your name, know your order, your coffee, exactly how you like it, would be waiting on the counter.
Wow.
When you walk in. As soon as you walk in the door, he saw you on the other side of the door, makes your coffee, and you put it there. He'd always be quick with a joke and make you feel at ease. And he was just a staple in the community, and everybody knew him and loved him. And so that was infectious. I think that really rubbed off in the Old Greenwich headquarters and with the old school kind of team that we've got, people who knew him and he rubbed off on. And we try to build that into our training, which sounds a little corny, but the basics of it. Remember the faces you see every day. Ask for the name, because you have to put it into the point of sale system. You got to know whose name to call out. Remember that name. You see that person every day. Remember their name. Remember to smile at them. If they like something a certain way, say it before they get a chance to order it that way. That makes them know that you know who they are. You appreciate them coming in. And it puts you on a one-to-one, like a friend level. And I think that's been... That's the easiest way for us to part that kind of home, that home turf feeling in any town we go into. This is really get to know the locals.
Beautiful.
And by the way, for our listeners, I've eaten the Hatzi several times. It's delicious.
I love it. Oh my God. My brother-in-law, I send him pictures all the time because he's out in California, and he gets so mad. He's like, "No, I can't have it."
So I wanted to, we have some show notes that we have in the background here, and I wanted to set John up. So I just put in there, ask Zino what's a Hatzi, and he just went there anyway. So.
All right. So the sandwich is a bacon, egg, cheese, chili, and potato cones. So cones, they're deep fried mashed potatoes that we're known for aside from our chicken nuggets. And so we smash those down on a New York style hard roll, which we get fresh every day. Delivered from a local bakery, Cassone's. They make the best hard rolls, and wedges in the game. And so we have Hotzi's chili. That's what I didn't get to, but his recipe for chili, it's been famous. We have his recipe, because he was making it for us for years. And so it's meat and heat. It's no beans, no nonsense. It's made as a topping. So it goes on burgers, goes on dogs, and we do something called a home run where we put it over nuggets and fries, put the chili on top and melt some cheese on top with our secret seasoning. We call that a home run. Come on, cuz.
Wow.
Come on.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
It is. It's
I'm
awesome.
still stuck on the concept of deep fried mashed potato.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
My
like
daughter would flip.
totally. It's like a poor man's potato croquette,
Yes, amazing.
Yeah, they're solid.
Craveable like crazy.
Yeah, that's the name of the game.
Exactly. So it's probably safe to assume that many of your employees weren't born until way after the first location was open, maybe not even until this millennium. So how do you transfer the legacy of the brand to employees who weren't around to experience it all those years like you were?
In some of we have an LMS, learning management system. So we start there and we try and incorporate a lot of the history into the early days of orientation. We have people like myself, people like Monica, who's been with the company for now going on, I think, 18 or 19 years. And she also grew up in town, to go out and, get our faces into the stores, get our faces in front of the newest employees and tell stories. I think that's one of the best ways to tell stories and put a little color to what they see on a computer screen. Let them know, like I'm telling you guys about Hotzi or about Frank. Tell them about the stories of Frank's dad bringing us trays of nuggets and cones at our rugby matches, after our rugby matches, and just blowing other teams' minds with the quality of our food. All the things that add a level of charm to a business and to a story. You're never going to. They have to live it before they're able to communicate that heart that the company has to customers. But you have to give them a good starting point. We feel that adding that training, adding the history in our training, and then providing the color in person is really provides a foundation. And just keeping it light. I think that as long as we try to really not be corporate, and so in our stores we try to keep things light, let everybody joke around and have a good time, and that builds a culture that they want to be around.
Yeah, I mean, you're serving nuggets. How can it not be fun, right?
Totally. Yeah, milkshakes, nuggets. We've been probably even a little bit too loose with what music we've allowed to be played recently. As I've gotten some feedback on that, Rev, I'll share with you later. But we try and keep it fun and keep it light, and hopefully, that's allowed them to respond in kind and always have a smile on their face. That's one of the things, you'd asked, we simple training components are smile when you answer the phone. Because right now, 50% of our business, say, or 30% of our business, depending on the store, is over the phone. So that's your one and only opportunity to interact with that customer potentially. So smile when you do it. Tina had a great idea, putting mirrors, or Frank, maybe, sorry, whichever one of you, if you see this, whoever's idea was, it's good.
Great idea.
Put a mirror next to the phone, for a little while, and let the kids see whether or not they're smiling when they answer the phone. Because people can tell when you're smiling.
They can feel it. Yeah.
If I turn my camera off right now and and I'm speaking and I'm happy, you can tell. And that's the type of vibe that we want to give. And sometimes people don't feel like giving that vibe. Too bad. Fake it till you make it. Right?
I love it. I mean, hospitality is simple, but it's not easy, right? To make it an art form and to execute it at the level and then across hundreds of team members and many stores, that's it might seem to outsiders not in the industry, it might seem simple if it was one person, but to execute that across 1,000 people or more, that's where the challenge is. And you guys are clearly succeeding. Well done.
Thanks. Yeah, I think one of the keys is to have a really fine sieve for when you're hiring. And that's something that we've taken a lot of bumps and bruises, in that process, and that's been a tough lesson to learn. But obviously, the old saying, what is it? Hire slow, fire fast.
Yes.
and that couldn't be truer, but just using your gut instincts to know who is a cultural fit with the company, who can really vibe with it, and not feeling because, I want to give this person an opportunity, it's their first job, or they're down on their luck, or they've had, this or that in their life. Sometimes you have to be a little bit harder than that, and look for what does the company need right now, who's the right fit, who's going to take the least amount of time to vibe with the culture that we've built here, because one person really can destroy that pretty quickly. In a given store, if they're not on that page, maybe they're closing by themselves, and they're the only interaction that your customers have, and you can pay for that if you're not careful. So doing your due diligence, calling references, making sure that these people are who they seem to be and that they are a fit is critical. It seems harsh, but business is not for the meek, and you have to, this business. And so you have to make hard decisions and be hard about it.
It's carefully curating your culture, right? It's that in the end, that's the energy of your company.
Correct.
So incredibly important. And I love what you said about following your intuition. It's one of our leadership principles, the importance of intuition. Steve Jobs said it was the most important thing. So to really be letting your inner guidance lead, especially with hiring decisions. Great.
Yeah, Steve and I, we're like
it's interesting. I clearly know you pretty well here, and I'm familiar with the business. But you get these brands that have been around for a while or have like a legacy or a story or an older generation, and you guys have that, right? And they have this tendency to get stuck in their ways. They maybe don't modernize, but you're clearly all about the community. You're clearly all about your customers. You're clearly all about the history of the brand, and you're clearly all about being technology forward. You're almost like a unicorn, and it's probably not the first time you've heard that. But like, what pulls all that together? What is the thinking, and like how do you keep an old brand old? How do you keep it modern? How do you keep it like? How does all of this come together? What is the thinking behind that?
I'd say the handoff, from Frank Sr. to Frank Jr. and Tina has been one where Frank Sr., despite knowing this business inside and out, he's been in its gut since he was, probably before he's 10 years old, knows everything. The best set of eyes you could have walk through a store with you to do like a brand equity review. Can Frank Sr. come with me? I always want him to come through because he'll see everything that I don't see. But he's been remarkably open-minded about any of these initiatives because he's, as he's taken a step back from the day-to-day operations of business, allowed Frank and Tina to take over. They're eager to expand the business. They see what the potentials are, and they know that just from going from say 4 stores to 8 stores, that really stretches the limits of capacity without any technology behind it. You really start to see the seams start to pop, and you can't get to all the stores as often as you want to. There's fires to put out in all different places. You've got millions of calls. You've got equipment going down. It's the day-to-day operations are constantly nagging at you. And if you don't have the right tools in place, for example, we used to have micros in a couple of the stores. And when I first got involved, they're like, well, we need to see our product mix for the week. We need to see our P mix, what items are selling, what are not. You had to take the back plastic off this old E7 and pull out a little thumb drive. And this is only 4 years ago. And go to the back office computer, plug that in, find the file and email it. Crazy. So, we started off with this with Frank's first project for me was, what are we doing with our point of sale? This is this is the engine of the car. What are we doing? And so we started with that, and from that, once we made the call, I reviewed a number of different cloud-based point of sales that were available on the market at the time. It came down to Brink is what we chose, largely because they had an open API. And so we could be agnostic with our gift card processor or our credit card processor, because we'd gone through a couple of changes where we changed credit cards, we changed gift cards, changed loyalty. And each of those was, we were kind of locked down at one point with our credit card processor. Couldn't make a change without changing 2 other things. And, they like to trap you in that. And we found with an open API being agnostic, if we ran into any issues with any of those single components, we could plug and play as long as we had the right engine in the car to begin with. And we feel like we made the right call with Brink. And from that, sky's the limit. We saw that we're getting all this quality data. What are we going to do with it? What can we do with the data from Brink? Well, we need a system to account for it. We want to run all our P&Ls side by side. We want to see our P mixes. We want to compare store by store, third-party deliveries, and what we're paying in fees. And we want to see all this stuff on one screen. We want to be able to see it from anywhere at any time. So we need a cloud-based back office accounting inventory platform that integrated. So we ended up with Restaurant 365. And I won't go through our entire tech stack and bore you guys, but Frank and Tina have been very forward-thinking, and there's a lot of synergy. Like we just think the same way. That is there a tool? Is there a better way? Complacency is how you die. So is there a better? Even if we've done something the same way for 30 years, even if the chicken nuggets are made the exact same way, well, you know what? We now have no antibiotic ever chicken because we're constantly looking for a better quality chicken, a healthier chicken. Our French fries, we did the same French fries for decades. We changed the French fries up to get a better quality French fry that travels better. So we avoid complacency at all costs, and we try and find ways to improve every area of the business, whether to use technology or bring in our best people on the operations side and say, hey, are we crazy to do this way in this store? What would you do? Ask your best people. What would they do? If I told you could redesign this kitchen, what would you do differently? And listen. And we found a lot of advantages in efficiency and operations that way as well. So I think we're just all the mindset that we have the success behind us, but it's not going to grow itself, and we need to continue to evolve.
Constant improvement as a core value. I love what you're saying. Quality systems, always looking to do better. That's what the greatest leaders, the greatest companies do. So well done.
Thanks. Another thing we find important is for scalability is find those things that are unique, your USPs, your unique selling propositions, and find a way to make them proprietary. If you're using something, you buy some, you got people in and out of your stores, you got people work for you for a week, protect your IP, protect yourself and make sure that those things that are unique to you stay that way. So, it's another initiative that we've undertaken to make sure that, whether it's our recipes, sauces, ingredients, tools that we use in the kitchen, that those things are for the right people's eyes only. And, we protect those things. So for scalability, that's another key thing.
The best tech, the best operations, the best customer service, the best hiring, and the best nugs. I think being the best is what Garden Catering is all about.
We're trying. We're going for it. We're trying step by step.
Awesome, Zino. Well, listen, this is a really incredible conversation. I'm really glad we got to have you on the show. And I think you inspire people to think about the best. However, you are not off the hook yet. Okay. We have one last question that's super important. And that is, what is something you've eaten recently that was awesome?
Something that I've eaten recently that was awesome. All right. I got to give a shout out to my buddy, Billy. He made an amazing pulled pork. Well, two shout outs. My friend, Phil Wingo, who's Pork Mafia out of Chicago, does amazing dry rubs. I mean, he's a barbecue guru. He travels around the world, literally teaching whole hog barbecue. And he does some dry rubs called Pork Mafia. So if you like to smoke meats, I highly recommend it. And so I ordered some for my friend Billy. He smoked a couple of pork shoulders, and I took some of that pork home and I put it on some toasted buttered sourdough, made a grilled cheese with some Monterey Jack, little homemade Alabama white sauce, a little bit of Texas red, grilled cheese out of that thing, and pickled red onions. Don't forget homemade pickled red onions.
Wow. That sounds amazing.
That was the best grilled cheese. It was good. Go on the menu. I'm not going to persuade Frank and Tina that we should add a smoker to our kitchen, but
it's possible.
We should.
Well, awesome, Zino. Thank you. We really appreciate that. And for all of you guys who are listening, if you want more conversations and insights like this, join our private Facebook group at bit.ly/restmast. That's bit.ly/RESTMAST. Restmast. You can join us there. You can also check out John at johnmarkshaw.com. We network with similar interests. We have inside discussions. Your questions get answered. We do mindset coaching, all that kind of stuff. So
Thank you, Zino, for an incredible conversation.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I really enjoyed it.
And thank you all to all of our listeners. If you really enjoyed the show, can you please share this episode with a friend who might find it helpful? And if you really enjoy the show, we ask for one favor, and that's to please give us a rating on iTunes. That helps us to spread the word to others who might find this valuable, just like you do.
And if you haven't subscribed to the show yet, please hit subscribe on your favorite podcast player so you don't miss a future episode featuring helpful tips from other professionals like Zino here who are in the food marketing business. Everybody make it a great, tasty day.